Okay, so welcome students to this beautiful channel named Geeks for Geek School, and today in this lecture we are going to learn about how can we develop using the basic features of Thunkable a beautiful calculator, right? So let's, without wasting any time, dive into the platform and straight away start developing this beautiful calculator app we are here for today. So these are the steps you can make use of for accessing the Thunkable platform. So once you are here on your dashboard, you can hit this create new app option, and this is the window you are going to come across. Fine, now here you can type in the name, whatever name you want to give to your application. So I'm developing a calculator today, so it's a calculator which I have written over here. Okay, so it has now redirected me to this beautiful screen one. Okay, this is a designer panel where I will be designing my app. So there are going to be two screens today for this app. On the first screen I will be defining the code for how can we calculate the simple interest. How can we calculate the profit or loss if we have things like cost price, if we have the value of selling price. How can we calculate the profit or loss? So that's what I am going to define the code and the components over here on the screen one. And screen 2 I will be using for designing a basic calculator, with which I can do plus, minus, multiplication, divide, right? So let's first design screen 1. So what all components do I require for this screen 1? That's what I have to think first. So I will be requiring a label box right on the top over here. Let's name it as cost price. Okay. Below this I would like to have an input box where the user is required to enter the cost price of the item he has purchased. Okay, then we are going to have another label box right below this input box. And below this I would like to have a text input box in which the user will be entering the selling price. Okay, now we are going to have a button and besides that let's just put the button right at the end. I would like to have a label box too between this button and the text input box too. Okay, fine. So here I am going to see the result. Now let's align these components in such a way that they can look beautiful on the screen. So I would like to have, let's increase the font size of this. Cost price, I'm making it 22. 22 is looking fine. And then want to change the color, you can do that too. Fine, and I would like to just have a gap in between these components so we guys can very well make use of this margin property. So 10, okay. So that's how you can push it towards the left side by passing a negative value. Now it is perfectly fine, I think. Yep. Let's select this input box, and I would like to first define a margin. Quite nice. We can do the same thing with the selling price too. Coming up over here, let's change the font size to 22. Changing the background color to this one is looking pretty fine, but not that much. Yep, it's good. Now in order to shift it towards this left side, what we can do, we can make use of this margin top property. Not margin top but margin left, minus 120. Perfectly fine. This is minus 130. Okay, this one is minus 120. How about if I'll make it 140? Now it is totally fine, right? And I would like to have some gap also in between these two components, so we guys can make use of this margin bottom property. I think, yep, 10 is more than enough. Yeah, let's select the second input box, and first of all I would like to give a gap in between these two components. So I am going to have 30. I think 30 is more than enough. Yes, and then we can select this result, and also I would like to increase the font size of this text which is getting reflected inside this input box. Let's do that quickly. I think this much is fine. Yeah, let's come on this label box result. So I'm going to increase the font size to 22 first, and let's have some gap in between these two components. So for doing that, for defining a gap in between these two, you guys can very well make use of this margin bottom property. 20 is sufficient, right? And let's increase the width to about 60%, or 90 is not good. How about 80? 80 is looking nice, right? 80 is looking perfectly fine, and if you want we can have some border also. It's not looking good, right? About 23. or let's have 1 pixel border of 3 radius. Yes, now it is looking somewhat good. Right. Let's change the color of this one to, how about yellow? Nope. Brown. Yes, this one is looking nice. And then uh, can we have some padding also? Just want to shift it towards a, in the middle. I think 80 will be fine. Yeah, 80 is perfectly fine. And this one is going to calculate for us the output. Righto. Okay. So we are done with defining all the required components over here for the first screen. Let's let's search for a relevant pic we can use for this calculator for the first screen, right, on Google Images. So the first screen that we have made is for calculating the SPCP part, right? So let's search for some relevant image on this Google Images. This one is looking quite good, right? How about this one? This one is also looking good, right? Let's save this one. Just checking whether everything is going fine or not. Yes, everything is going perfectly fine. Okay, so I'm saving it with SPCP, hitting the save button. Let's save one more image which is going to make for us. This one is also quite nice, right? But that how about this one? Let's save this one too. Going back on Thunkable, and for this if you're importing the image of this screen one, we will be needing this image button over here. Okay, so we have an image button on this beautiful screen one. I want to shift it a little bit up, right? So that's why passing this negative value. Perfectly fine. Want to play with the width and height also. Let's make the width equal to 300. Okay, this is going to cover the entire width now. Fine, and then let's import the pictures we just saved on this beautiful platform. So that's these are the steps you can make use of for importing the images. So I'm going to make use of this one first. Let's see how it is going to look like on this screen. Okay, that's how it is looking right now. Okay, let's check out this appearance of the second one. This one is looking much cooler, right? Let's use this one. This is more perfect. Okay, because this is also white and the background is also white, right? That's the reason. Let's have some space in between this image and this cost price thing. So we guys can make use of this margin bottom property, I think. Let's have in space of 10 pixel. Perfectly fine. Okay, let's now come on this blocks section and define the required code for getting the required desired output. The first thing I would like to do is let's declare a variable with name, let's say CP, and I would like to initialize it with 0. Fine, and then we can have one more variable with name, let's say how about SP. So in this we are going to save the SP selling price, and then we can have one more variable. Okay, and here we are going to have PL, profit or loss. Okay, so we have got a button on this screen one on which this calculate is getting reflected. Let me just close this window for you guys so that everything can be more visible to you all. Now I'm increasing the window size also. Yes. So the name of this button is button 1, and we have a label 3 in which I would like to see the result getting reflected. So let's define the code for this button 1 first. So button 1, click. Now what is going to happen. As you very well know that if the cost price of a particular item is more than the selling price, so it means that the customer is in loss. And if the selling price of any item is more than the cost price, so it means that the customer is going to have some profit, right? The person who is selling the product will be in profit. So the first thing that we have to do is whatever value the user is going to enter over here in these two input boxes, we have to first compare these two values and find out which is a greater one. Now if the CP is greater, it means that it is loss, and if the SP is more than the CP, it means that it is a profit. So we need to make use of this if loop. We can place it over here like this. Not if loop, let's make use of this if else loop. So if whatever value the person is going to enter over here in this first input box. Now what is the idea of this first input box? It is text input 1, right? So let's select if text input 1's text is sorry, if it is less than, so it is CP, right? If it is less than text input 2's text. Okay, so what should happen? I would like to set the value of this app variable PL, okay, equal to so we can just find out the difference between the two, right? But if it is, if this text input 1's text is smaller than text input 2's text, so I would like to subtract the value of this text input 1's text from this text input 2's, right? mathematical operator we will have to use, and we guys can just make use of this one. Let's change this one to minus, and here we are going to pick up this, and I'm going to drop it over here. Then I'm going to copy and create a duplicate of this code, drop it over here. Okay, so this is how we can calculate the value for this PL. Now whether it is a profit or loss, it is of course a profit, right? Because the value of CP, the CP value is smaller than the SP. So how we would like to get the result reflected over here on this label 3. Okay, this one is label 3 where I would like to see the result. So what we can do, we can come on this label 3, then we can pick up this set label 3's text, making use of this join component, and it's a profit, right? Profit, and then I would like to see the profit value, so it is going to come in this variable named app variable PL, right? Okay, we are good to go with this. Now else what should happen? Else its opposite should happen. So here it should be text input 1, here it should be text input 2, and rest everything is going to remain the same except one, which is this part. So it is going to be a loss now. Why? Because the value of CP is greater than SP. Let's check out whether it is going to give us a correct output or not. So I'm going to live test this app now. Okay, right, so that's how this app will be visible to you, and you'll open up this on your respective app mobile device. Here I'm going to enter a value, let's say 340, and here I'm entering 560. Let's see what is going to happen when I let this calculate button. Okay, so it's a profit of 220. I'm getting the correct output. If I change this one to 120 and this one to 20, so what is going to happen now? Okay, so it's a profit. Now here I am not getting the correct output, right? Here it should have been loss. Why I'm not getting loss over here? That's what we have to think. Okay, I haven't, maybe I have to mention the condition, right? Just a second, let me remove this else from here, and instead of this let's place this if else if. Okay, then we can just make use of this command, and I'm going to place it over here. If it is greater than text inputs this, so now I think we'll be able to get the correct output. Let's check it out. So text input 1 is greater than text input 2, so it is going to be a loss for us. $340, and here I am entering 56. Calculate. Profit is coming, but why is it not taking this second thing? That's what we have to find out. Let's do one thing. Let's set the app variable CP equal to this thing Fine, and I am going to set this app variable sp equal to text input to text. Fine, now instead of comparing these text, let's compare the values of these two variables, right? Let's do that. So if cp is smaller than sp, I would like cp, not cp, but it should be sp, right? It should be sp minus cp if cp is smaller than sp. Perfect. Okay, and then this is perfectly fine. So the value is going to come over here in this PL, and we'll be having this profit, right, if the CP is smaller than SP. Similarly, if the CP is greater than the SP, then the value should be equal to CP minus SP, right? And it is going to be a loss for us. Let's check this one out now. What are we going to get? $670, 2230, calculate. Yes, we are now getting the correct output. So that's what we were making the mistake. We were directly subtracting the values of these text input boxes. The procedure you have to follow is you have to first save the values entered by the user in these two variables. Then you have to compare the values, and then you have to make the other calculations, and you have to define the code for getting the other calculations done by your app, right? So that's what is the code you guys can make use of for checking out the loss and profit factors. Now I am going to define another beautiful screen. So let's hit this plus button. So that's how you can create another screen. And if you want to create a duplicate of this screen, again it is very simple. You just have to hit this. I think we can create a duplicate using, just a second, let me just find out the option over here if we have any. Okay, I think I will have to save it to my screens first. No problem. Let's come on this screen too. So here we are going to design it first. This time I'm simply going to have two input boxes, one right on the top on this screen too. So this here the user can enter the first number, okay, and then we can have another input box where the user can enter the second number, right? and then let's just swap the positions, right? Okay, so we have these two buttons over here, and then we can have a label box where, which we guys can make use of for getting the result reflected on this screen. I'm going to put it just below these two buttons. That's how you can make the arrangements. Then we are going to have four different buttons. So this one is going to be for addition. And why are we not just defining the rows, so that in one row we can have two buttons? Let's do that way. So I'm deleting this button for now. And let's just make some arrangements for these components also, so that they can look good on this screen. So margin 30, I think 30 will be fine. Not margin top, but margin bottom. Similarly, we can have the same thing for this second input box also. And here we are going to have the result, right? Result, changing the font size to 22, and then we can just change the border to 3. Let's have radius of 3, and then how about a blue border? I think this is going to look nice. Solid. Okay. Would like to increase the width of this label box to, let's say, 80%. Then we can have some padding in the left side so as to shift this result in the center. So, these are a couple of things you can learn, right? So that's how you can make your app look more beautiful and appealing. Okay, and then we are going to have 4 buttons, but before that I would like to define a row below this result named button. Inside this row, now let's place 2 buttons. So one I am going to place over here, and another button I am just placing it in the side of this button too. Great. Then we can have some margin in the left right side. 30. Yes, it is looking perfectly fine. I don't want to have 75 radius. Let's change it to 20. I think 20 is going to look good. Width is going to be 12. Border, and select dotted. So this one is not looking good, right? Let's just eliminate the border. I don't want to have any kind of border. This is looking much better. So let's now change the text which is getting reflected on the top of this button. So I'm changing it to add. Okay, and this one I'm changing it to subtract. What is the height and width of this one? If I'll change it to, no, 30 is not looking good, right? 40%. Okay, can we have 40% for this one too? Yeah, now they are looking good. And let's now change the width and height of this border. So I would like it to perfectly fit the contents. Yes, perfectly fine. Can we have some margin on the top of it? Yes, we can. Right, so that's how you can customize the whole view. Okay, let's select this row 1. And I'm going to now create a duplicate of this row 1. So just by hitting this button present right on the top, you can create a duplicate of this row. Okay, so we have a duplicate of this row 1, which is row 2. Let's now customize these two buttons. So this one I am going to have it for multiply, or let's rename it to product. It is a much relevant term, right? Then this one, with this one I would like to get the division of the two numbers. Okay, so we are almost done with designing this screen too. Let's select this screen too and change the background color also. I would like to change it to, how about no, not this one. Okay, yellow. Yellow is looking quite nice, but not yellow. I want to have some bright color. This one is looking cool, right? Let's go with this one. Okay, let's come on this block based coding and start defining the code for the components we have defined till now on this screen too. So the user is going to input the two numbers over here. The first number he will input over here in this text input 3, and the second number he is going to input in this text input 4. Fine. And finally, when he hit this add button, I would like the sum of these two numbers to get reflected over here. In case if he hits the subtract button, the difference of the two numbers should be visible to him over here. Similarly, product should be visible to him over here, and division should be visible to him over here if he hits any of these two buttons. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need two variables so as to store the two numbers the user is going to enter. So number 1, and then we can have one more variable, let's say number 2. Okay, and initially they are going to be 0. The values are going to be 0. Now let's define the code for this add button. The ID of this add button is, let me check it out. So the ID of this add button is button 2, and this one is button 3. Okay, let's come on this button 2. So when the user will hit this button 2, I would like to first set the value of number 1 equal to what is the ID of this input box. It is text input 3, right? So I would like to pick up the number from text input 3 and would like to initialize this number 1 with the same. So that's how we can do it, right? Same thing we are going to do with this number 2 variable also. Done. And now I would like to calculate the value and calculate the sum of these two numbers, and would like to store it in a variable. So let's define another variable with, let's say, name result. So initially it is going to be, I'm initializing it with 0, and finally when the sum is there, I would like to initialize this variable with the sum value. So result, and then we guys can come on this logic, not logic, mathematical operator. We can make use of. I'm placing it over here. Let's delete this, and now we guys can select this app variable number 1, placing it over here. Sorry, not here. I need to place it inside this logic block. Fine. So finally the sum will get calculated and it will be stored in this variable named result. And after that I would like to see the result, the sum getting reflected in this label box. So for doing that, what is the idea of this label box? You have to first find that out. So it is label 4, right? Let's come on this label 4 and select this set text component, and now we guys can just make use of this join block, putting it over here. So here I would like to see sum and plus the value of the sum. So where it is going to come? It is going to come in this results block. Okay, so we are done with defining the required code for this button too. Let's copy this whole thing and create a duplicate of this code. This is a duplicate. By the time I'm creating this app, let's just check whether I can download this app on my mobile phone also. So these are the steps you can follow for downloading the APK file of this app on your mobile device. So come on download, hit this button, then go on download to Android, and then you can enter your respective email ID over here, hit the send button, and after a couple of minutes you're going to receive the download link on your respective ID. So it's after 20 minutes I will be receiving the link with which I can download the APK file of this particular project I am making. Fine, and from there I can just download the APK file and install this app on my phone, and I think my laptop has hanged. Just give me a short moment. Okay, so I'm back. So if the user will hit this button 1, not button 1, it is I think button 3, yes. If you find out the difference, button 3, and it should be minus over here, and here it should be difference, right? Difference, and finally this difference will get calculated. Okay, no problem. Let's copy and create a duplicate of this one, and I'm going to place it right below this. Okay, so now we are left with only 2 buttons. Let's define the code for those 2 also quickly. So this one is button 4, which I would like to code in such a way that the user can, calculate the product of the 2 numbers. Just give me a short moment. Yes, everything is perfectly fine. I was just checking whether the streaming was going on or not. Okay, so we were on this button 4, right? And button 4 is going to help us in calculating the product of the two numbers. And here I need to replace it with product. Okay, so this is going to give us the product of the two numbers. Now let's copy and create a duplicate of this whole code, and this one we'll be making use of for calculating the division of the two numbers, right? So divide, and then here I am going to write down, let's make it remainder, right? Okay, let's now check out what is the output we will get. Live testing the app, also checking whether I have received the link of this app on my email address or not. So that's how this screen 2 is going to look like. So I'm entering 89 over here. Let's not enter 89, instead of that 90, and here I am writing down 30. Okay, if I let this add button 2700 and the remainder is 3, right? So we are getting absolutely perfect output. Let's now add some creativity to this beautiful app. So what I'm going to do, I am going to add a top navigator button and add both the screens to this top navigator button. So what is going to happen with this top navigator button, the user will be able to swipe and navigate in between the two screens we have defined for this app, and it's going to be extremely interesting and going to make this app more appealing and user friendly. Okay, so here I go with adding this screen 1 to this top navigator. Done with adding the screen 1. Let's add this screen 2 also. Done with adding this screen 2 as well. I would like to keep this screen 1 on the top, on the top of this screen 2 like this. Now if you live test the app, so that's what you are going to get. Okay, so now with there is a swiping feature also available with this app. So you can swipe and navigate in between screen 1 and screen 2 like this. So if you want to calculate the profit or loss, you can come on this screen 1's calculator we have defined over here. And if you want to calculate make use of a simple calculator for finding out the addition, subtraction, product or division of the two numbers, definitely you guys can come on this screen 2 and make use of this one. So that's how this this is how the app is going to look like once you are done with installing it on your respective device. Okay, and let me just check whether it is working fine or not. 450, here I'm entering 340. Yes, it has given me this loss. See, if I want to calculate, suppose the profit, I need to enter a bigger value for the cost price, right? Sorry, for the profit I need to enter a bigger value for the selling price. So I'm entering 1100. Let's see what it is going to give us. Okay, so everything is fine. I hope you guys enjoyed this lecture a lot. Do not forget to like and share this video and make it reach the maximum students possible. Right, thank you very much for joining me in this lecture. If you guys have any kind of doubt, please you can reach me through the comment section. Just put your comments over there. I will read them and respond to your queries as soon as possible. Okay, and if you want to take some course, Geeks for Geeks is offering. So there are all the links mentioned in the description section. You guys can check them out and approach Geeks for Geeks school directly for any cause you want to pursue.